Since the beginning of time, or at least the beginning of television, we've been documenting our surroundings for a nominal fee. Tonight, we document those documentaries with your old pal Wes and the Reverend Jeff Kelly. This is Bigfoot Documentaries, Uncensored.
Woo! Holy crap, it's another edition of Bigfoot Talks Uncensored. And I indeed am your host, the Reverend Jeff Kelly. And if you don't like that tough shit, because this is the kind of show it's gonna be. Hey, with me as always is your old pal Wes of WesLobster.com. How you doing, my pal Wes?
What's up, fellow squatches?
Fellow squatches. That's right. This week we is talking about the legend of Boggy Creek. Holy crap. One of my absolute favorite docutainments, I guess, as we've been calling them lately. This is the first one that we've actually covered that technically wasn't billed as a documentary. It was actually a film release, but it was based upon true events. Tell us about it, Wes.
Well, I mean, right at the bat, it starts and says, this is a true story and all events in it, and yada yada yada. But it does, like every documentary has started, back in that time with that creepy stroll. But except this time, we're down south, so it's through the swamp.
Dude,
then
they
had their own roar.
Yeah, they definitely had their own roar that was no more believable than the approximation of whatever the heck they're talking about that. Now, let's tell the people that haven't seen it. The IMDb description says a documentary-style drama which questions the existence of a monster in an Arkansas swamp. It is real. I guess that's Arkansas for some of you people who live out there might be pissed off about it. Sorry. It is really more of a glimpse of a lower-class swamp culture from the 70s. Wow, that's kind of an insult to the face there, don't you think? An early 70s docudrama about Sasquatch-type creature that terrorized the small town of Folk, Arkansas for several years. Many of the persons who claim to have had experienced these events actually played themselves in the movie version, and the film that had a big premiere in Folk and went on to become a popular minor drive-in hit, grossing over $20 million domestically and appearing repeatedly on many late-night TV horror shows throughout the rest of the 70s, aired spawning 2 sequels and a remake. In addition, the film's visual style is cited as the inspiration and look to the Blair Witch Project. No shit. Hey, look at that. So that's where we're starting from, people. It's a docudrama style movie with some of the people who actually experience some of this stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know about how it was horror, because it's not scary at all. I don't think.
It had a real grindhouse feeling to it for me, and I'm a real fan of Smirky Little Grindhouse movies.
Okay.
Dear God No is a fantastic Bigfoot slasher horror grindhouse movie, but yeah, it did kind of lack the depth needed to have a horror show.
And plus, with everybody having their own damn theme song. I mean, come on.
There were so many theme songs, I couldn't even cut them all to put them up to have samples of them tonight. I actually just cut the theme from the end for the Trail Out show. Everybody had a theme song. Holy crap.
Yeah, I never paid attention before when I had seen it in the past to all the music that played during this. Wow. But yeah, so the documentary starts, you see this little kid hauling ass through some field, falling down, just hauling ass. And he gets to this, a little market, where these old dudes are just chilling in there. And he's just
I saw a monster. I saw a monster.
My mama needs you, there's a monster. And the guy just laughs at him, sends him back home, and the kid's hauling ass back home. And next thing you know, kid's hearing the monster, and then what ends up happening is that little kid is now Vern Stearman, I think his name is. And he's the narrator.
That's right. This is my story, kind of like the Kick-Ass, Just because I'm telling you the story doesn't mean that I'm not dead.
So you see what happened to him as a kid, and then it kind of moves forward as he's older or whatever. And then they, like how you just, introduce, I heard you say it, now I'm going to fuck it up, but Folk.
Yeah, there's no L. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can somebody please buy an L? I mean, I know this isn't
Falk.
exactly.
Yeah, folk. All right. Anyways, but so they do this little, welcome here, blah 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 blah. Just talking about the whole area and everything. Then they start talking about, for a little bit, they introduce Smokey Crabtree.
Smokey Crabtree. Holy
and
crap.
his little brother Travis, and they're trappers, and Travis runs a line every single morning before he goes to school, and he's just this badass little mountain kid.
Crud, I forgot to put the line link. Yeah, but now let's go back to that for just a moment. Do you know what running a line actually means? I mean, a lot of people nowadays don't know what a trap line actually would mean. That's probably like 7 to 10 miles of like snare traps and foot traps, that type of thing. That kid's running a 7 to 10 mile trap line every morning before school. That's a lot of friggin' walking, dude.
Yeah, and they talked about the land around that area, and then the guy says Falk is the right place to live.
The right place to live. We got 7 stop signs.
Down.
7 streets, 7 stop signs, 7 gas stations, and a little diner where the men folks stop in to tell stories of their catching fish from the rest of the day, and then the sun goes down.
Yeah, and so then they break into what could be considered the documentary part of this, because they start going through people's sightings, and they talk with Willie Smith. And
Willie Smith.
And
now anybody named Willie Smith has to be believable.
Yeah, well, he was the old man that told the little boy in the beginning and sent his ass home. And he ended up shooting at this thing. And the narrator goes, "He believes me now."
Don't he?
So then they talk about to John Hickson out at an Apache ranch, and he saw a hurt Bigfoot, like kind of like
limping around.
Yeah.
Wasn't right. Just hadn't moved like it should have.
And then my favorite, John Oates. They stole some of my prize show,
Showed up. They were my prize show. They
come
took that, and it was something, and they took it.
Them 200-pound hog.
Took them. What can carry a 200-pound hog and walk right over top of that barbed wire fence? Had to be a Sam Squinch.
Yeah, and then he starts talking about, Boggy Creek, and then doubt you can find a spookier place than Boggy Creek, and he just goes on, and you get the creature always comes out at dusk, and then you see that scene where that cow just starts hauling ass.
It's not like the brown cow. The brown Bigfoot cow, he just hung out with the cows. But then Falk, no, Mr. Cow says, "I'm getting the hell up out of
here." So then this is when you hear them that they, gave it the title, the Falk Monster.
The Falk Monster. Yeah, they never did actually call it Bigfoot.
Yeah, no, not ever. And then you'll see why when we get into this soon. But then they talk to, now everyone that seems to have these sightings, his last name's Crabtree. So just get ready for that.
Yeah, well, it's one of the
confusing as fuck, and I'm sorry, but everybody's fucking name in this fucking movie is Crabtree. So it's like
Blazing Saddles town meeting. Everybody's name was Johnson. Well, the Falk town, everybody's name was Crabtree. Sorry, it's not our fault.
Yeah, so they talk with Fred Crabtree. I think it was Fred Crabtree, but yeah, so he saw it, and he was, sitting there changing his squirrel shot to a buck shot,
Because it wasn't big enough to kill that Falk monster.
Yeah, but he ended up not shooting, and it just, kind of hauled ass away or whatever. And then his uncle, James Crabtree, or Jim Crabtree.
Jim Crabtree.
Yeah, Jim. So he went out, all right, and I like this guy. This guy was my favorite. Your old pal Wes approves of old Jim because, he was like, noticing no animals around, no sounds. So he sits down on a log and smokes him a joint.
He does too. Sat down and smoked me a doobie. Yep. And next thing you know, old Sam Squinch came a calling.
Yep. So he saw Bigfoot and the monster, and it started scuttling away. Well, and then they say, they start talking about the creeks he always traveled tunnels,
the creeks. Yeah, well, and that's one of the Sasquatch friggin' techniques that people used. Is part of that is all coming from Boggy Creek.
Yep. And so some of the stories, actually, that now what we're seeing, some of them were talked about in some of the documentaries that we've already done, especially this one right here, is with the Searcy family, and when it was Mary Beth and her mom, and I think it was her sister and her daughter.
The three girls were hiding out together while the menfolk was working, and something reached its hand in the back room. She was so tore up, she just done like fell down the bed, like hysterical, like.
Actually, that one happened. That was the other girl. This one is when they heard the noises, and they, that girl was out looking through the window or whatever.
Yeah, the window.
And they start playing us since. Dun, 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 dun. And Mary Beth, she's in the bathroom and she sees the monster through the window or whatever, and she passes out. And the next morning, they found their kitten
dead.
And
poor
and
thing.
it was dead. And they said
no visible marks or any kind of association.
That it just scared to death. And this shit made me laugh the fuck out, because they're all trying to sit next to a fire. So obviously it was fucking cold out last night. And they put this little newborn baby kitten outside to fend for itself.
I wonder why it's dead in the morning. No lie.
I'm like, duh. Like, what the hell? Like, oh,
they found the new baby kitten dead outside. No marks. It must have been scared to death.
Yeah. And then they had a dead kitten. So I mean, what did they do?
Like, where'd they get the dead cat from?
Yeah, like, anybody got a dead kitten for this documentary?
Hey, somebody, go get a plastic bag real quick, and we'll make us one.
Eddie, how much you like Whiskers? You don't like Whiskers. Come on, Whiskers, come here. Yeah. Oh man, it was, so then I believe they talked about some, like, Falk shit in between this, and then they showed this kid like twiddling a stick, and the next thing you know, he's running through the woods looking for his dogs, and he's got a rifle, and that
footage there has actually been used as a Bigfoot sighting more times than I'd like to actually count. It's like the little kid in the orange vest.
Yeah.
And the Bigfoot creature out in the woods. And they'll take like a screen capture from the friggin' Boggy Creek movie and post it. My son was out hunting squirrels this morning, and this is what he saw.
Wow. Yeah. And so he ends up shooting that Biggie, shooting twice, and just pissed him off proper, but they kind of just started talking about how a big hunt was organized, and all these famous fucking dogs from Tennessee and Texas, and
we're sure our dogs are going to get the job done.
Dudes on horseback. I think I saw Chuck Norris. Like,
definitely Chuck Norris. It's the Falk monster. They had no chance against Chuck Norris.
No, they needed him. But so, like, everybody's out looking for this shit, and then next thing you know, they pass to one of the guys on horses. He's by himself.
Yeah, obviously. He's like, I don't care. I'm badass, man. I'm Chuck Norris' sidekick.
Yeah, the creature fucking rolls up on him and fucking scares him. The horse falls, dude freaks out, then he sees Biggie and shit, and they find a trail, and none of the dogs wanted to go, and they said, like that, man, it was a sad day for dog owners.
It was a sad day for dog owners. Well, hey, let's take a break right there and talk about the art of the week, dude. Holy crap. When you sent me this afternoon, I was just like, what the hell? Dude, this is some of your older work from Chaos when you were like freaking trying to hide who your old pal Les really was. Yeah. Tell me why they don't have any eyeballs, man.
Well, it's just fruit. Zombie fruit.
Fruit need eyeballs. Good question. I don't know, man. But this is a very serious, this is like Van Gogh, or, this is some seriously out there stuff, man, and I love it.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. Fruit eating fruit. Oh my god! Yeah, I want to know who ate the strawberry and spit it out.
Well, right there, like you're just attacking the fuck out of them, And if people were to zoom in on it, they'd see that there's like hands breaking out of the bottom of the bowl and trying to get out. Those little zombie grapes just fucking went nuts, Like
they're ripping the orange apart.
Yeah,
they're trying to pull the pear out of the bowl.
Yeah, it's an orange slice, you know? So it's like, there's some fucking gore going on here right now, but you're also like, I can make a margarita.
How cute.
You know?
It's fruit. You can hang this over the mantelpiece and not feel bad about it.
No.
Exactly.
And every time I look at it, because this painting's like the size of a goddamn table, like
It's huge.
Yeah, it's big, and every time I see it, it makes me laugh, like I've painted it a long time ago. Yeah, I used to go by Chaos, but and I still do sometimes, but yeah, this painting is just one of my favorites.
Yeah, well, you can be the owner of the zombie grapes versus the fruit out at weslosner.com, WESLOSNER.com, and you can follow him on Instagram at Squatchy Inc. We'll be back for the tattoo of the week a little bit later, but let's move on to what's going on with the folk monster of Boggy Creek.
Yeah, so after the whole thing, with the dogs, fucking up and pussying out and shit, the men kept at it and searched, and kind of like then they started talking about how the creature kind of disappeared for like 8 years, and
it was just like assed out. It was just like, I don't think I'm gonna go up around this neighborhood anymore. Let's just hang out in the creek bottoms.
And this is when, because everybody that has been watching this shit knows this shit. Our show is not shit. Damn it. No, that everybody that's been watching this knows how your old pal Wes enjoys the fuck out of these goddamn musics. Come on here. It messes with my brain. I can't even talk right. And I'm saying musics. But anyways, yeah, so they play this fucking sad country song about the creature. Oh, shit. The notes that I have to that damn documentary are my coasters, so they just get bled into with just condensation all the time.
But the music, yeah, there's just song after song after song in this after that point. Holy crap, dude.
Yeah, and so they, like how all of them do, like you get your cuts of this like nature footage, and they show the creature cruising through the mist, and then they talked about how kids after 8 years finally started going back into the swamp, and here comes Travis Crabtree, and holy fuck do they make a fucking song about him. And Kip, he wanted me to hum some fucking song tonight, and I was gonna, and now I can't even for the life of me remember the damn fucking thing.
Well, here, let me remind you what it sounds like.
No, I'm good.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
So anyway, so like they play like 8 minutes of this fucking song, and you just see the dude fishing, pulling in his lines, making eggs, fucking
the life of Travis Crabtree.
Drinking coffee, fucking whatever, and so he goes down, paddling his little boat after the song's over, of course, and he goes to see his old friend Herb Jones.
Herb Jones!
Yeah, and now Herb Jones likes a lot of privacy, so he's out in the boonies,
he doesn't like a whole lot of visitors.
And this is what I found very funny, is old Herb here shot himself in the fucking leg while he was out fucking hunting. So now he's got a pretty bad limp, and then they pan into him, and people ask me if I've seen the monster. Ain't no such thing, like,
ain't no monsters out here.
Yeah, you know what? You shot yourself in the fucking leg. I don't think I'm going to be taking your word for anything, bro. I'm sorry.
Life choices abated. You shot yourself in the leg. Your advice is no longer good.
And then, like, seriously, like 20 seconds, you get a dude and a chick in a car, and they go, "What was that?" And it just cuts into another scene. And you're like, what was that? Like,
what the hell was that?
Yeah, I have it in my notes, like, what the fuck? Like,
chicken in a car.
Yeah, wow. So then the creature, is back and fucking in this barn stealing chickens and shit, and then fucking they had this old H. Kennedy, you know, out on his farm, and he found some tracks, and then they had 3 toes, and they started asking him,
tracks.
you know, have you ever heard of Sasquatch? And he goes, what?
Say it's what?
He's like, I didn't see nothing. I just found these tracks, and then they were, you know, they were 3-toed, like they look like a big old chicken track and shit, you know.
Dinosaur more so than a Bigfoot.
Yeah. So then Bessie Smith and her little incident with her kids coming in screaming for their grandpa and shit, and the mom I thought was funny because she was like, "You want me to go get a switch?
Yeah, well, I'll get you a switch real quick.
Ted, you're hot, you little bastard! Shut the fuck up!" Oh, it's like, fuck yeah, finally someone that's fucking real, you know.
That's country folk right there. Let me get my switch real quick. Matter of fact, go pick your own, and don't bring some little one in here. You better bring in a good one, because if I have to go pick it, you're gonna get worse.
Make sure it's got branches. I want that shit to be felt.
That's right.
Anyways, so they get their mom to go and, you know, like, go look at this thing, or I think that was her mom or whatever the fuck she was. Anyways, they go on this fucking little trek, and let me tell you, it was a little fucking trek, because they literally let like a fucking minute or 2 minutes of the movie of them just.
Yeah, it was almost like Mario Kart, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, seriously, you just see them on this fucking march, and I'm like, how the fuck are these people not sweating? I'd be sitting there like, where's the fucking monster? You know, like, shit, man. So then they're looking at where it was, and it ends up being, like, seriously, like 10 fucking feet away from them and shit. So then they run off, and, you know, they get safe. They go to some neighbor's house and shit, and they come back.
Let's go to the landlord's house. He'll protect him.
So then Charlie Wall some people watch it, you'll hear it.
Old Charlie.
Yeah, he's driving, and they have this really cool, like, misty scene of it, like, creeping across the road and shit. But then you get to the 3 chicks, and they're sitting there, and this is what I thought was funny, because ain't this back? How old? Oh no, it's probably way fucking longer than that. I have it in my notes just right here that it was funny that they're all, let's go have a Coke, you know, and I was like, how long ago did Coke still have Coke in it? You know, like,
oh no, yeah, no, that stopped in the 20s or something, dude. That's
but
way
how
way
long
back.
ago did this shit happen? Because it didn't happen like right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
like,
it
they
was
were
in the
still
70s,
fucking
back
pulling
to Coke.
water out of the fucking
Yeah,
ground and shit.
that
So
was the early 70s in America, dude. You could still find places with like pump houses, like where you actually had to go out there mechanically pump it. We had one on the farm that I spent my summers on.
Well, you know.
So sorry for your 21st century world, Wes. Some of us actually did have it a little bit harder than that.
Yeah, well, sorry. Anyways, you know, it just says in my notes, growl, bang, bang, boom, bullets on the floor, girls are screaming. They saw.
That's where the hand came through the window and
no, not yet.
Oh,
not yet. Still, it goes. That's the couples that moved into the house later on.
Oh, that's right.
Well, I mean, it's coming up actually right after they start. Actually, it's next.
Yeah,
what am I talking about? It's right here in my notes.
It's not what we were talking about. We were right in there.
No. These chicks, they saw it outside or something. They were, you know,
on the. I think it was with the porch crossing.
Seriously, people. I watched this one like one and a half times.
Yeah, I watched it a couple of times myself. I've seen it a million times. It's really.
I've had a busy week. I'm sorry.
It really has been a busy week. That's for sure. But the couples one was the one where the men were off working and the chicks were all home, and the creature smashed through the window and knocked everything off of the dresser there, and the girl passes out on the bed. Oh! Yeah, it's like, I mean, is that really something that would happen from a Bigfoot experience? I don't know. I mean, could you be terrorized?
A lot of people say they've seen it.
Are we gonna psychrometrize this one in the computer real quick and see what the reports come
Thank God this was. Yeah, none of these people probably knew what a computer was at this time. So they talk about how he had like this lonely, you know, frustration and went on a rampage, you know, and some dude's dogs were killed and shit. Like, so they just, the next day after what happened with the busting through the window or whatever,
when the menfolk returned.
yeah, they ended up having the one of the family or one of the couples, the Fords, had visitors, a kid and an uncle. They came to fish. They heard how great the fishing was and all that shit. Well, the kid ends up finding a print by the water, and they zoom in on this kid. And I have it written really big because it made me laugh. That little kid looked just like Renee from Finding Bigfoot. Like, I was just like,
yeah, you're right. It's like, oh wow, that's a little dude, but
full on like cut and everything. And so then they noticed that this thing had 3 toes too, their print, and then they pussied out, got scared. They really got scared after finding that fucking print, thinking that there's a velociraptor on the run, or some shit, but they blame it on the lack of fish. So, and this is what I thought was funny. I have it written in here, like, wow. At 9:20, this whole family was out cold and just in dreamland at 9:20.
Well, back in the olden days when there weren't no TV and you didn't have pump water in the house, Wes, 9:20 was late and you went to bed because there wasn't shit else to do.
Your old pal West doesn't sleep very much, so I just I don't see the world as you normal people do.
I don't think there's anything as such thing as normal people, but whatever.
Yeah. Right. Well, then so the creature creeps up, and they're asleep, and they wake up everyone, and they huddle up with the girls, and then a car rolls up, and the dudes come back. They get a gun, and I mean, basically, you go through their whole shit. What happened to them? They get the sheriff, and then he comes and tells them. He looks at the prints, under their house or some shit, and he's like, that's Panther.
That's
Panther. These people are telling them that they saw it walking on 2 legs. Yeah,
no, that's definitely a panther. Hey, let's stop right here before we get up to the conclusion of this thing, and let's talk about your tat of the week. Dude, you finally got to do the koi that you've been wanting to do. That is friggin' fantastic.
Hell yeah.
That is a badass tattoo.
Yeah, it came out fucking awesome. And then on my Instagram, I have videos of it, so you can actually see it even better because, like, the picture doesn't really.
It doesn't do it justice. No, the video was
no,
much
because
better.
it's got a much layered look to it, so it actually gives it like a 3D feel. So like they get in the picture like this, it doesn't show. I wish, I had the video on here, but.
Well, the video doesn't transfer too well across Google Hangouts like this anyhow, so. But it's still a badass tat. Oh, yeah, it's freaking cool. WesLosner.com at Squashy Inc. on Instagram. You can catch him at Good Neighbor Tattoo in Escondido, California to get your tattoo done by the great Wes Losner. All right, dude, let's move on. Let's finish this fucker up.
Yeah, so then, one of the dudes, after the sheriff bounces, and he's just like, yeah, Panther,
that's a Panther.
Whatever.
That's a Panther.
So dude goes to take a shit. He sits down, and Bigfoot busts through the window again and tries to grab that dude.
Yeah, that was
probably squeezed that fucking log out.
Shitter squatch came to life there, brother.
Yeah, so the dudes run out. They shoot. One of the creatures, or the creature grabs the dude, tosses him through a door. They went to the sheriff's. Dude was fucked and in shock, and so they took him to the hospital and all that shit. And then the dude, it just goes to the narrator, and he's like talking about what the creature wanted, who knows, and the dude reflects on the past.
Yeah, it was almost like the sad walking away part of every episode of The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, yeah, it really was.
It really.
And then he said, if you ever stop by their neck of the woods, you may see that creature and
watch you when you're coming into the lights of dusk. Look into the darkness of the woods and have him watching you.
Yeah, so then you get the and then it starts playing that fucking boom mountain.
Yeah, I've got that. You'll get a good taste of that on the way out of here tonight as our closing theme for sure.
Oh,
but dude, I gotta tell you, it's still one of my favorites. I mean, I've had a really busy week. It's been a very stressful week, and that's one of the reasons I didn't get to enjoy it as much as I would like to have this week. But the 2 times that I did watch it were pretty fantastic, and I do think possibly why don't we do next week? Why don't we just follow it up with the sequel of 1985, The Legend Continues, and we'll just continue on with the events of Boggy Creek. Sound good to you?
Yeah, sounds good. I actually watched that one not too long ago. It was pretty good. That's
Yeah,
one
it's
with
actually
that
a lot
dude
better
that comes
movie.
back, right?
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
starts-
It's actually a lot better watch than what the original Boggy Creek was. Anyhow, folks, I like it. I dig it. I mean, these are people who tried to put events of what happened around folk for, nearly a decade and a half onto film. And I think they did a pretty decent job of it myself. What do you think of this?
Yeah, no, it was good, and like I said, I only watched it 1.5 times because I kind of wanted to not get sick of this one because it's one that I always, there's nights where I'm like, I'm gonna fucking watch Boggy Creek, like
Yeah, exactly.
it's just
There's nothing else to do. It's a good movie to put on. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. It's out there on YouTube, and there's lots of places to catch it for free, so you don't have to worry about renting it or downloading it or buying it.
This is the first time I actually fucking paid attention enough though to notice the goddamn music. That Travis Crabtree. Like what the fuck?
Everybody had their own music. Well, that's actually going to wrap it up, guys, for this edition of Bigfoot Docs Uncensored. Yeah, we did put the parental explicit lyrics up at the very beginning of the show, so don't complain about it, people. Really, it's one of those free opportunities that we get to have an adult conversation and not really give two shits. Anyhow, coming up on Wednesday night of the Squatch Sounds podcast, which of course is PG-13, is going to be the Freeman encounter. That's right. We're going to talk about Paul Freeman's encounter with that big scary bastard up there in his neck of the woods, retired forest ranger. I mean, really, people say he's a hoax. I don't know. We'll talk about that Wednesday night with Dr. David Backdorf, pseudo scientist. In the meantime, you can find us at youtube.com/SLounge Podcast, over at facebook.com/SLounge Podcast is the fan page, and facebook.com/groups/SLounge to join us in the group conversation, because God knows it's a lounge type atmosphere in there. Wes, you got anything you want to finalize up here this evening?
Just I still got that sale going on at westlosner.com. If you go to the store area of that, the sale will be ending at the end of July. I decided that I'll be putting the price.
Can't be giving away cheap for free forever. Hell no.
Because some of them, and with how much shipping costs and stuff, so the sale will be ending. So
it's going to be ending in less than a month. That's right. Go get it out there at westlosner.com. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. For my co-host, your old pal Wes of westlosner.com. I am your host, the Reverend Jeff Kelly. And we want to say you ain't got to go home, but you do have to get the fuck up out of here. May the Squatch be with you.
Well, I mean, you can, come back and watch it again.
Yeah, definitely. Rewatch it 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. Actually, you could take a bong hit or
every time we curse.
Yeah, every time I say fuck, and you probably,
I don't know. You might, well, you can't overdose, so it doesn't really matter.
You could sure enough get alcohol poisoning with how I fucking talk.
Next week.